Well, welcome. We are here at the very first episode of what I want to call B-Side Banter. And this is a podcast where we're basically just sitting down with other reviewers, music lovers, and we are just talking music, all things music. So I'm here with Honeybee Reviews. My name is Tyler. I'm from B-Side Channel, and I'm going to kick it to you and just tell us a little bit about your channel, about you can go into music taste, music preference, whatever you want.
I go by Honeybee Reviews and I talk all things music. So I've had my TikTok channel is the one where I put the most time into it. And, that's where most people know me from. And on my channel, I talk all things music, but specifically new music. And so each week I specialize in New Music Friday content where I give recap videos about all the drops that came out, all the releases. I've got a playlist on Spotify that people follow. And I will kind of just review all of the new albums that come out, at least the ones that pique my interest. I just talk about whatever I want to talk about. And that kind of goes on all spectrums of musical genres. Like I do a lot of hip hop, I do a lot of pop, a lot of rock. I do classic reviews as well. Even some country mixed in there, all sorts of stuff. So
is there any genre you do not do?
No, not really. There's genres that I don't gravitate towards personally, just in my music preferences. Like I don't listen to a lot of metal. I guess really that might be the only one that I don't listen to a bunch of. But even metal, like I've done reviews of, because I've done a bunch of series also on my channel where I kind of listen to, maybe a top 100 albums list from a certain publication, and we'll review all those albums. Or right now, what I'm doing is I'm listening to the top 100 songs that are rated on Rate Your Music. And so,
nice.
Even then there's a little bit of metal content here and there. We love all genres of music over here on Honeybee Reviews.
Totally. Yeah, no, I get that. I would be kind of there with you a little bit with metal. I don't gravitate toward it. I did, like in high school, I had a phase where I was really into like kind of metal adjacent, like alt rock. It was like, it was pretty much there. But yeah, not super into that. Although if there's a big release that's come out, then I just find that sometimes when you're not in a genre a lot, it's so hard to know like who's up and coming, like unless you know like the really big bands, obviously. But then all the fringe stuff, all of the experimental stuff, the stuff that's kind of pushing the genre, it's hard to know. Like I wouldn't know even where to start. But that's
usually it just kind of, if I'm seeing a lot of chatter about it online,
totally.
I'm chronically online. So if I'm seeing a lot of chatter about an album, even if it's a genre that I don't, gravitate towards, I definitely will check it out. Or especially if it's a band that I like that maybe is moving into a different space. Like I remember a couple years ago, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard released a metal album, which I am more into like their surf rock, alt rock style, psychedelic rock. But their metal album was like incredible. It was so sick. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. And I'll do a little plug for you here. Your playlist is awesome. I'm subscribed to it, and I
thank you.
Pretty much every Friday I have as I'm sure you do, I have a handful of people that I kind of cycle through to see what is new, what's coming out. And you are always a channel that I look at, especially when it comes to hip hop albums, and especially when it comes to kind of like more like experimental underground hip hop. I feel like you represent that kind of space well. Obviously it's impossible to review everything, or you would literally be listening to music like Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern until until the end of the weekend, because there's so much stuff that comes out. But a little pitch for you, so you don't have to do it. I appreciate that. If you want to discover new music, you're the channel to follow. So Honeybee Reviews, TikTok especially, you're killing it over there. So but I did notice that since you got onto Instagram, you had some crazy videos pop off. You got like 2.5 million on one. Like it literally just started posting last week, and you're just all of a sudden just raking in the views. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, TikTok, who knows if it's going to be around much longer. So I figured I need to diversify my portfolio, right? So
hey, it's working for you.
I am on Instagram. So I'm trying to do a little bit over there as well. But I'm excited to be popping in on your podcast, here and there. I'm hoping to pretty regularly be here and talk music with you because I enjoy it a lot. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, we're just a couple music geeks, music nerds, whatever you want to say, that just like talking music. So glad to have you. But we are going to move on from that, and we're going to talk about the Grammys, because just this weekend, this is what always gets me. These are the 2025 Grammys, even though we're recognizing 2024, right? Do they have like a number? Is this like 53rd? Am I off by that?
Or they do have a number, but I don't know
what it is. You have no idea. I'm not even going to look it up because it doesn't really matter.
I have no idea what Super Bowl it is this next weekend either. You know what I mean? Like, I just know it's
the Super Bowl. XXX. Like,
it's the Super Bowl, the Grammys for me. I don't care what number it is. They've both been around for a long time, and I just enjoy both. So, you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, but a pretty big Grammys. There was a lot that went on, as is pretty usual. I don't think any Grammys, especially like once the nominations come out, there's always some snubs. People are always chatting about that. And then the winners, there's always some, questionable winners, questionable losers. So let's like dive right into that. Who do you think are like three of the biggest winners of the Grammys?
So the biggest winner, obviously, it has to be Kendrick Lamar, right?
Totally. Yes.
I mean, it's not. I don't even know if you can debate it. Yeah.
No,
I mean, clean sweep, 5 for 5.
Yeah.
All of the categories that Not Like Us was nominated for, a clean sweep. Well, technically Kendrick was nominated for 2 other ones, but it was for Like That, his verse on Like That. And it was pitted up against Not Like Us, so he couldn't have won, right? So he won all 5 categories that he was nominated for. And that kind of sucks for Drake. Not a
Seriously.
good look.
Yeah, totally. Really, really, really sucks for Drake. But to some degree, I don't know if I would have ever saw this coming, because like this now is like the winningest rap song ever, right? I'm pretty sure I saw a few articles that said this is the winningest rap song ever, which is so wild at the Grammys. Like, obviously, we're not counting all the other awards, but at the Grammys. So that's a huge accomplishment. But yeah, like we kind of saw it coming with how much this song specifically just totally blew up everywhere. It was like, it was in NBA warm-ups, and like it was being played everywhere you went, and you just saw videos of it being played all over the place. So yes, I agree. Kendrick Lamar, the biggest winner for sure.
Are you surprised at the amount of people that are, I mean, maybe they believe this or they're claiming that song's not good?
I don't, like, honestly, I don't know how they can get there. Like,
me neither.
What ground are you standing on here?
Yeah.
I feel like, I guess I've heard a little bit of talk about this. I haven't dug into it a lot. Maybe you have more. Do you think they're just like Drake fans that just want to hate on the song, or they're like legitimate like people that are like reviewing the song and are like, this sucks?
No, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not like on the technical aspect of the song by any means.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's just people that either one are claiming it's overplayed, and it's like, okay, well, that's what happens with good songs, right?
Yeah.
They get overplayed because they're good.
Yeah.
Or two, I think they are Drake fans, but I don't know, because the coin has 2 sides to it, because the Drake fans, they love to cite the numbers that Drake does about, how he's like the most streamed hip hop artist of all time, and that makes him the best. But then they don't want, they pick and choose which numbers they care about, I guess. But here's a number. Not Like Us has 5 Grammys. Drake's whole career, he has 5 Grammys. Not Like Us has the same amount of Grammys as Drake does.
That's so crazy.
I posted that stat on TikTok, and I had a lot of comments saying, well, Drake's not, nominating himself anymore, yada, yada, yada. He has 55 nominations, 5 Grammys. Kendrick has 57, 22 Grammys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's definitely something more there. And some of it, I think, would have to do with like Kendrick, his whole career, just based on like how he likes to write in terms of like lyrically, he's a very poetic writer. Everything has to have meaning, and he's really like big fan of these double, triple entendres. Like everything's really intricate. So his whole style is almost like for critics, whereas Drake's whole style is like for the mainstream. So there is, to a degree, not that I'm a Drake fan, because I really don't like much of especially recent Drake. But I feel like there's this divide, because like the people that like Kendrick are like, they're kind of like on this higher hill of like, yeah, but he's just like he's better, which like critically and like probably objectively you could say, yeah, like for sure. Mm-hmm. But Drake does have this way of just like writing like a song that's gonna get billions of streams.
Right. But
like, so that Not Like Us did like crush it for sure.
Exactly. That's a testament to how great Not Like Us is, because Kendrick made a bop, which Drake is historically known for.
That's usually his thing. Yeah.
Right. And so that's what makes it cool. That's what makes it really cool to me. Totally. But one thing I will say, just because this is the first podcast ever, so obviously everybody's a new listener. I like Drake. I'm a Drake fan. Like, I like Kendrick more probably, and I'm also a Kendrick fan. This is not me just like hating on Drake.
Yeah.
It's just for the discussion of winners at the Grammys, which leads me to my second biggest winner.
Let's do it.
Beyonce.
What is it?
Beyonce.
Yeah, totally.
She has never won an album of the year before this year.
I know.
That's
so crazy,
right?
It is so.
It's crazy.
It's so unfortunate, especially when you think of Renaissance and you think of Lemonade.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
How did those two albums not, when you just think of cultural impact around those anyway, but I'm not talking about those. We're talking about Cowboy Carter, which, to be honest, I wouldn't say it's even at like, we don't have this slated, but I wouldn't even rank this as one of her best albums, but it was good. It was very good.
I will say it is rising up my rankings the more I listen to it. Yeah.
There's some like, I was listening back to it again. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I was kind of like skimming through some of the tracks, and I was reminded at how many of the tracks that when they hit, you're like, whoa, like this is an amazing song.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm the type of person that I chase feelings in music. For example, the first time that I ever heard Everything in Its Right Place on headphones by Radiohead, like that feeling, the feeling of hearing Kendrick Lamar's like To Pimp a Butterfly for the first time, like I chase those feelings. And when I start to feel like a song makes me feel a little bit like what I've felt with past music, that's when I'm like, whoa, like obviously I need to give this more time. I need to sit. I need to listen. And when I was re-listening to Cowboy Carter, I was getting that. American Requiem always hits me, which is so crazy that that's like the first track. And it's just like, as soon as it comes on, I'm just like, I just feel like that's such a great intro track. It just totally like immerses you into what she's trying to create. I think it's deserving, 100%.
I think it's deserving as well. I noticed a lot of people are a little up in arms about it.
Yes. I think more people are upset about her winning Country Album of the Year.
They
like,
are.
I think too that I think a lot of people are a little frustrated about Album of the Year, but I think most of the people that would be tracking with Album of the Year would recognize like, yeah, this is a great album, but everybody that was like rooting for people in Country Album of the Year that are like country fans, those are all the people that are so mad that Beyonce won.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It is. What do you think about her winning Country Album of the Year?
I think, for one, you can't win Album of the Year and not win a subcategory, like a subgenre category.
That like, doesn't happen very often.
To a degree, like it would have been weird if Beyonce won Album of the Year but didn't win Country Album of the Year. But I feel like it's a little unjustified, the anger. I think that it was deserved. I do understand some of the sentiment that Cowboy Carter wasn't so much an actual country album as it was like kind of just themed country. Like it wasn't completely country genre. It was more of a country theme. Whereas like you could take the other crossover that was in this category. Post Malone's country album was a country album. It was a country genre album. It's not like Post Malone did kind of like a similar thing that he does previously with the country hat on, like a cowboy hat on. Whereas I think a lot of people felt like that's kind of what Beyonce did. Like there were a couple songs that were country, but most of it just, I think people felt like this feels like Beyonce just wearing a cowboy. So I feel like maybe that's where the sentiment comes from, that like, should this even be in this category? I don't know. Is that justified? I don't think so. Genre is pretty fluid. So I don't know if it's like, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what you think about that.
No, it had to go somewhere, right? If it is won by an artist of such high, popularity, that album has to fit somewhere. And so it's not going to go in the pop albums, right? I mean, it's not clearly not an R&B album. It's I mean, it's
the only other place that I feel like it could like potentially fit is like maybe like Americana.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's more country than that. Americana,
I agree.
Right? Yeah.
There's enough country elements that I didn't have a problem with it. And the album's good enough to win Album of the Year. I don't know if it's the best album that was nominated for Album of the Year, but she was long overdue. Like, she needed a win, and her album's good enough to win. So I felt that it was very justified, well-deserved. She has 99 nominations, I think, the most nominated artist ever.
Yeah.
She deserved an Album of the Year. Yeah. So it just was time. And then, like you said, kind of by default, the country album of the year, that's fine. She can win best country album. That's
fine. I definitely think. And it's funny because I'm in Nashville, so like I'm a lot of like my wife's friends were just like commenting. Like she was on Twitter because she was a little frustrated too, but I think she was more frustrated that like country just isn't represented well at the Grammys at all. Which like that's a whole different issue. You could say the same about hip hop. Like, is it represented properly? I don't really feel like it is. Like it's more an award ceremony for pop and for like, well, pretty much just pop really. Like rock isn't represented super. The subgenres aren't represented well. So I think that's more the frustration, and you can see that in the past when certain rap albums have won over others that people are like, are you kidding me? Like that's just kind of how it works sometimes.
There's a lot of things wrong with the Grammys, but I will say that this year's Grammys was probably my favorite that I can remember in my lifetime, honestly.
Yeah, there was a lot of great things about it, for sure.
I thought it was good. I thought it was very well done. And I thought a lot of the awards went to people that I either understand or would want them to go to, which leads me to my third winner, Doechii. Doechii is the third biggest winner at the Grammys this year. Yeah. She won Rap Album of the Year for a mixtape. Hasn't even put out her debut album yet.
It's so wild.
She released Nosebleeds, which again, the new song.
Like, does that go back to like the Grammys not understanding rap and hip hop? I don't know. Like, should they have a mixtape category? Because like, also wasn't J. Cole's album on
the best rap album? It was nominated. Yeah.
Like, anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. Like, I kind of understand it, just because mixtapes don't really. I mean, I guess there are EPs, which would be kind of the equivalent for a pop. They could just put out an EP. But anyway, I just think Doechii had a great night. Her performance was phenomenal. It was fantastic. I think there were, with all eyes on her, I think she stepped up to the plate and hit it out of the park. And she is, if not right now, she will be a household name in the future. Yeah. Because she has everything. She has likability. She has a great personality. Yeah. Obviously, her music is fantastic, both, commercially, but also critically. Like, there's a lot of substance there that you can dissect, that you can read the lyrics, dive into, and not to mention her versatility. I mean, she can make pop music. She has a freaking amazing, like, metal song that came out last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. Like, it's just incredible. Yeah. She can dip her toes into tons of different pools, and she does a good job at whatever she does. So I think she's the third biggest winner at the Grammys this year.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. The only person that I would say potentially maybe could take a spot in the top 3 would be Sierra Farrell. I don't know if you followed a lot of what happened with her. She's in that kind of Americana genre. She like, I think she won 4. Yeah, she ended up winning 4. I'm just looking here. That's the only other person that I could think maybe could be.
I mean, 4 it's hard to argue with, so.
Yeah. And like, her album was pretty, I don't know if you heard her album or not. It wasn't like, it didn't get a ton of traction.
I did hear it, yeah.
Like, it's like, in terms of like, when I say an album didn't get a ton of traction, like, sometimes I gauge that by like who is reviewing it. And one big person that if they haven't put a review out of an album, I would consider it to potentially be like fairly underground, or it's either fairly underground, or it's like so like gross pop, or like, you know what I mean, like so mainstream they don't touch it. But like the Needle Drop, Anthony Fantano hasn't done anything with her stuff, so
yeah.
To me that makes it kind of feel like it's a little still unknown, underground. Not that he's like on the pulse of reviewing, but he's up there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he has a good finger on the pulse in the music industry, and I don't watch his reviews ever, but like I follow him on social media, so I'll see what he reviews.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I do agree. Like, he taps into most,
pretty much everything.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, it's what he does full time, so he has the luxury of being able to just listen to everything, and he's got people that he hires and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, that's the 3 winners. I think I would agree with your 3. Let's move on to the losers. Who lost the most?
The biggest loser, no Jillian Michaels, is Billie Eilish, in my opinion. Nominated for 7 Grammys, didn't come home with anything, and you could tell that album of the year lost really hard. I think she was shedding
you could
some
tell
tears.
Like, I think just over the night, like, which I would totally understand. If you have 7 nominations,
7,
and you're just constantly time after time after time losing, like, I could get, like, you could tell her face, like her disposition when they were showing her, like, every time it got like closer and closer to the last award, she was getting more and more like just upset, frustrated.
And I feel bad.
Get that. Yeah,
you know, like, her Hit Me Hard and Soft was amazing. It was a great album. It was really good.
But
so
would it be like, in my opinion, I don't feel like it's the one for her to win on. Like,
but like you would think with 7 nominations, like, you would think she would go home with something, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was a tough, like, it was a tough just pool of people that, like, there were some of those, like, there were some of the usual, like, why are they on there? Suspects like Jacob Collier. You're like, what the?
Right.
Like, why is he on the best album award? Like,
who knows?
What is going on here? So there were those usual suspects, but for the pool, like, the pool was so strong. Like just the fact that, like, Sabrina Carpenter won just like 2. Was it 2 that she won?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty crazy, because she put out a really strong album and really strong singles and songs. So she had a great case for winning all of her nominations. Chappell Roan had a great case to win all of her nominations. So it was a strong pool, and it was sad. But
that's the thing. 2024, it was like the year for pop in the last, I don't know what, 5 years. But like, it was such a great year for pop and hip hop too. But pop, I mean, you just named a couple of the albums, but Taylor Swift also released an album. Charlie XCX, if you kind of lump that in with pop music, you know, like, it was just
that's a weird.
It was such a strong year for pop. But I did think that Birds of a Feather was gonna win one of its nominations. That song is incredibly well written. It's beautifully executed. Totally. So
well, and like, Phineas is one of our generation's probably best producers. Like he is probably like, obviously, I don't even know, was he that's songwriting, isn't it? The category that Dan I don't even
Dan
know how to
Nigro?
pronounce. Yeah.
That
was producer, non-classical
that
producer?
That was producer.
Yeah. So I don't even know if Phineas was on there. Was he? I don't think he was.
I don't think so. I don't think he was nominated.
Which, like, I can kind of understand that, because a lot of these other producers are producing like a lot for other people. It's not like, whereas Phineas like does dabble a little bit in some other things, but he's mostly doing his own stuff and Billie's stuff.
Right.
But in my opinion, Phineas is one of the best producers of this generation.
Okay, here's my question though. Why is his music so bad when Billie's is so good?
His music is so bad.
Why?
It's produced like okay. It's just it's got to be that, like, by himself he's not a great songwriter. I feel like that's just what it has to be.
It has to be.
When he gets paired with Billie and he's put in a place where he's able to be as creative as he is with Billie's style of music, I feel like that, like Billie's music, they're recording hundreds of vocal tracks for some songs. Yeah. Like, that just is insanity. And
they're recording hundreds of songs too.
Yeah, totally.
And so my theory is that some people, they just know what's cool.
Yeah.
You can't teach taste.
Yeah.
And he has a great taste. He has a great ear for production, but Billie has the taste to decide, okay, these are the 30 songs that we're going to condense into my album. We're going to get rid of these other 70. They're probably, pretty good, but you know what I mean? Like, some people just have taste, and Billie is the one in that relationship that is deciding and making decisions. So,
well, there have been songs that Phineas has written for himself to put out that later on they've repurposed that for Billie. So there have been times for that. And I'm sure he's aware, like, Billie is the superstar. So, like, if we have like a killer track and it can be done for her, we're going to do it for her.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. I like when I first kind of like discovered like Phineas as a producer, and like he was kind of some of the mastermind behind the cool sounds that Billie produces or puts out. I was like, oh, he does his own stuff. This is going to be so cool. And I started listening to it and I was like, this is so bad.
It's kind of a letdown.
Yeah. Which, like, to a lesser degree, but like, I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't. Okay, I'm going to say it. I don't really like Bleachers. I don't think that Jack Antonoff is very good by himself either. I feel like sometimes these producers, they're better when they're put with people that can push them in a way. And I like Bleachers is okay, but it's like the most generic pop to me. Like, it's so generic. It's like if Country New Road or wow. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Black Country New Road.
Yeah. If they put out like the most generic song they could ever write, that's Bleachers. And it's like, to me at least, that's just I'm not sure. Anyway, we're going sideways here.
This is going to turn into just a Jack Antonoff hate podcast each week, because I am so tired of him. But I will say there are a few tracks on the Bleachers album that came out last year that I listened to a lot.
Yeah, he has some really catchy tracks, and he produces some very catchy tracks for other artists too. But I feel like he's half the reason why pop had gotten so stale.
He needs to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
My man needs to go on a vacation to Mexico and sit on the beach for 6 months and not even pick up the phone. Don't call Taylor. Don't call anyone.
Yeah. Although I'll give him this: what he does for Lana, that's his bread and butter. He can still produce for Lana Del Rey, but he can't have anybody else.
And you want to know why? Lana is the one in that relationship that has the taste.
It's true.
Lana is the tastemaker there.
Yeah,
it
definitely
goes back to our Billie Phineas point there.
Yeah,
which brings me to my next loser.
Okay,
longtime Jack Antonoff collaborator Taylor Swift.
Yes,
0 for 6.
I would agree.
6 nominations, not bringing anything home. I will say, I think Tortured Poets Department is her worst album. I am a big Taylor Swift fan.
I am in the biggest Swiftie house Probably not ever, because I know there's bigger ones, but
probably not. Yeah.
We live in Nashville, and I drove my wife and my 6-year-old daughter to Toronto to see Taylor Swift.
Wow.
And I didn't even go to the concert because the tickets were way too expensive. So that's how much of a Swiftie house this is. And I will agree with you. Tortured Poets Department was the worst album I have ever seen come out of Taylor Swift. And it was so painfully obvious for everybody except for like people that just are obsessed with Taylor.
How much does your wife listen to it?
She doesn't, she listens to some of the tracks, a decent amount, but the whole album, no. Like, I would say there's probably 4 or 5 tracks that she listens to a lot. Fortnite, for sure. She's listened the crap out of that.
Yeah.
Because my Spotify is connected to our Alexa downstairs, my algorithm is always full of like Taylor Swift. So like Fortnite was like my second most listened to song this year, even though I don't listen to it ever. But yeah, there's probably like 4 songs that she listens to a lot. But in terms of like an entire album, there's, especially when you talk about the deluxe, there's like 22 tracks that are throwaways. Like
22. Like, come on, that's like a double album. 22 tracks. Our wives would get along really good though. But the reason why I ask is because I was talking to my wife yesterday about it. You know, we were talking about the Grammys, how Taylor Swift didn't win anything, and how I so bravely stood up to my wife and told her that Tortured Poets Department is her worst album. And my wife said that her theory is that only like the day one Swifties like that album, Tortured Poets. Because like I say I'm like a Swiftie, I'm not. I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I listen to her music a lot. I like most of it. But I didn't like this album. And she said it's because there's so many references. Like it's all about, you know, her entire life, basically. And so she talks about like 4 different guys on the album, you know, at different times. So if you understand kind of, obviously, if you understand the lyrics, you're going to like the album more. And so she says only like the day one Swifties are the ones listening to it. Even big time Taylor Swift fans, like I consider myself, we don't feel it the same way. So that's why I asked her about your wife, and I wonder if her theory has, you know.
I would say yes, but she definitely would not slander anything that Taylor has ever put out, even if she knows that it's bad. And there are times where I'm like, just say it's not that good. Like, you don't even have to say it's bad. Just say, that wasn't that good. She's like, no. But I would say she was definitely a loser, even though I would have been so upset if she won any of her categories.
Me too. I'm not saying she should have won. She shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I just kind of, in my head, it feels like she's a big loser. Mostly just because it's tied to the album too, you know, like just kind of the whole era is a loss in my opinion. But my third biggest loser, honorable mention to Post Malone, most nominations, 8 nominations, no Grammys. Honorable mention. My third biggest loser is Kanye West, my favorite artist of all time, because what was he thinking, man?
What is he ever thinking though, especially like in the last 10 years.
The truth is, I'm such a Kanye fan that like I am a defender, and I usually find a way to spin it in a way that I think makes sense to me. This, like, he's been posting recently that his wife is the most Googled person on earth right now, and then he recently just released his first ever woman apparel at Yeezy.
Yeah, okay.
And so it's like, dude, like, you are just admitting on social media that like you're exploiting her in a way. Like, I'm sure she probably agreed to it, obviously. But it's just not a good look. You know, it just feels very expletive and gross.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like shocked. I actually didn't even see that part. I can't remember what I was doing. I missed like the first like probably 5 minutes of the Grammys. I feel like we were like coming back from somewhere. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But when I was like trying to catch up on Twitter and stuff, I like saw, and I was like, what in the world is going on?
For listeners, if you missed it, by chance, Kanye and his wife showed up to the red carpet. There are rumors that he showed up unannounced. He wasn't invited to the Grammys, possibly. I don't know if that's true because Ty Dolla $ign was there. Carnival was nominated. So
true.
I don't know how true that is. There's conflicting reports. But at the red carpet, they're standing on the red carpet taking pictures for, all the magazines and the paparazzi, right? And Kanye's wife drops her robe or her fur coat and has nothing on underneath and is just posing there. And
oh, she has something on, but it's like completely see-through.
It's like, and by see-through, we're not talking like,
yeah, no, like it's like
holes in her dress.
It's virtually like there's nothing there. Yeah,
it's nothing.
Totally,
it's nothing. So
yeah, that's so.
I don't know.
Were you watching that live? Like as it was happening, did you see it happen live?
I did not see that live. I was watching E! News.
Okay.
They were covering the red carpet.
Sure, yeah.
And I didn't see it on there. Like they must have not shown it.
They
for
probably,
obvious reasons.
Yeah,
but,
totally. Yeah.
Or I could have missed it, just getting up and getting a drink or something. But
yeah, I was just curious if there was live coverage and they made it onto like some of the bigger like channels live coverage, if they very quickly like cut to something commercial or something. Like I was just curious.
I didn't see anything. I saw it on Twitter just like you, as I was scrolling through. I was like, wait, I've been watching this whole time. I thought, I don't know. It just wasn't a good look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's in a weird headspace right now.
Not.
But I just listened to the interview that he did with Justin LeBoy, and it was very interesting. He talked about the use of AI in music and how people are having a visceral reaction to it right now, just like they did with autotune originally. And so he's saying it. He is claiming that he's comparing the two. He's using AI to isolate tracks on the production side of things, so you can strip a sample and take only the music or take only the vocals, which is exactly what the Beatles just did, and they won a Grammy for their song Now and Then, because what happened is they recorded that song in the 60s and the recording was too staticky, and so finally Paul and Ringo they took John's vocals using AI and were able to put it on, re-record and make the song. So there are times when AI should be used in music, I believe. I think it's as a tool, it's good.
Yeah, totally.
But people are up in arms. There are negative sides to it.
It's I could see why. Like for one, I'm sure job security is a thing that people are thinking of if you're like in that production world and stuff. And then on top of that, I'm sure they're also thinking like, if we give this an inch, will it take a mile? Like, so if we start allowing it, will it all of a sudden now be like impossible to tell if this was somebody's AI likeness or if this was somebody for sure? Which, it's already hard enough. There's already been AI songs come out that people are like, oh, this is legit, and then it's like, no, it's not. It's AI, which is so wild. But yeah, I was shocked by the Kanye thing. I would agree. I think that is definitely some loser behavior right there.
It's an L.
It's an L.
Unfortunately, it's an L, as the kids say.
Yeah, it is an L. Oh gosh, yeah. I don't think I have. Those were the three. I don't think I had another loser. I did think about Post Malone, but I didn't think too hard because I don't know how like seriously anybody took any of those nominations. If that makes
agree.
Sense.
I mean, there's 8 nominations, but like, would you really pick any of the Post Malone nominations over the Beyonce nominations?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I liked the Lainey Wilson album. I liked Chris Stapleton's album.
Yeah.
I didn't like Casey Musgrave's album that much, but
yeah, and like that, honestly, that's an album that is like, does that even really fit into country? Like a lot of people will die on that hill, but it's mostly just because Casey Musgraves to them is a country artist. But it's like, is that really a country album? Like that's
ironically,
a folk album.
I hear that she is a little upset that Beyonce won that.
I'm sure
category. So
yeah, I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that are upset. Which is so funny because they'd be upset over Beyonce winning, but I'm sure if Post Malone won it, they wouldn't be. And a lot of that is because he's pandered a lot more to the country kind of industry machine than Beyonce did.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is interesting.
But shout out Post Malone, lives in my home state, represents us well.
Okay, nice. Get it. Yeah, we almost saw him once. We went to a Jelly Roll concert here in Nashville. Last minute thing. Not really a Jelly Roll fan. Tickets were $20. We were like,
nice.
Can't beat that. This was a tour date that Jelly Roll added at the last second. He was like, why am I not ending my tour in Nashville? Which I was like, yeah, why didn't you do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, we go. Ernest is, I don't know if you're familiar with Ernest or not, but another country artist, big time songwriter. But he brought Morgan Wallen out. Wow. And they sang a couple songs. So we were like, whoa, like there's probably going to be somebody cool. We saw somebody down. We were way up in the nosebleeds. We saw somebody down on the floor that was getting a ton of attention. We're like, somebody famous is down there. And this was before Morgan Wallen came out. And then when he came, we were like, maybe it's Post Malone because we knew that Jelly Roll has done some stuff. And then Morgan Wallen came out. We're like, oh, it must have been Morgan Wallen. And then Jelly Roll comes out. He brings out Keith Urban. He brings out Snoop Dogg, which was insane. So we were like, that's wild. And then later on, we find out that person was Post Malone. And we were like, so mad. Why didn't Post Malone come out and sing? Anyway, that's my almost seeing Post Malone.
Well, that's like the best $20 you ever spent.
Seriously, yeah, it was. We still, like, this is a story we tell, like, so many people. We're like, this is why Nashville's so cool.
That is cool, yeah.
So that is a lot of good Grammy coverage. We had a little bit of some other talking points, but we already kind of hit some of them. Other than, I do want to, because I've heard a little bit of a buzz. Sabrina Carpenter, some people like it, some people hate it. I did see a little bit of buzz about people being upset that she won anything, which I feel like is crazy. Is that crazy to you? I felt like she had a great album, some really good songs.
It was well deserved, and I think the majority of people enjoyed the album.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
It's doing well, commercially.
Yeah, and maybe that's, again, it comes back to, like, people just, especially if something's doing well and they don't like that artist or whatever, that makes them hate it even more. I don't know.
I don't know. I like her. She has a charm to her. Like, I don't think I would want to maybe hang out with her for like a whole week, but maybe just a little weekend, go out to dinner and have fun. Sure. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. She seems like a lot, kind of, but
totally.
I do like her. I think she's charming, and I think she's very talented. And she had some of the biggest hits of the year, so I don't know how anyone could really be all that upset, especially in the categories that she won for.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, very true. I think some of these people are like some really big, like, Chappell Roan fans, which, like, I don't feel like there's a little bit of, like, but I feel like there's a little bit of hatred from Chappell Roan diehard fans to really anybody else in the pop world. I think, like, they're like, Chappell Roan is everything.
Chappell Roan fan, give them a break. Chappell Roan fans are going through it because their favorite artist doesn't even like them.
It's true. It's so true. It's crazy when that happens, when artists, like, just go crazy on their fans. Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan too. I love Chappell Roan, and I would not have been mad. I prefer Chappell Roan's album by a lot to Sabrina's album, actually.
I would agree with that. I would also say that.
Even me, like, I can't be mad. Sabrina had a great album, and it was really popular, and that's kind of what the Grammys are for. So
it's true. Yeah, it's true.